I'm Dan Reagan, class of '82, and I'm here to talk with Alex Bolton and profile him so our younger members can get some idea of what it takes to be a leader for our nation. Welcome,
Yeah.
Alex. Can you give us a short introduction about yourself?
Yeah, well, my name's Alex Bolton. I'm from class of 13, and I was proud to join SigEp my first semester, and I lived in actually at all of my college career, sophomore through senior year, because served partially part of my time on exec. But I've been politically active for quite some time. I got involved in my first campaign in high school. I stayed somewhat active throughout college. I've been very blessed in a good, long, and steady, which is the key in politics, is a good, steady career. I started out running a congressional race in 2014. And from there, I worked for various political organizations. And then in 2015, I'd hit kind of a ceiling in Colorado. I couldn't really punch through without spending some time in DC. And I came out in 2015, and I worked for the National Republican Congressional Committee, which is the premier campaign arm of the House Republicans. And then went from there to running races as an auxiliary manager for the NRCC. And I did that until the 2018 cycle. I came back to the NRCC, which was kind of actually at the time and early in my career, it was kind of my goal to work at the NRCC in a senior level. And I was given the opportunity in the 2020 cycle. So I started back at the NRCC in 2020. I worked on all priority races for the NRCC. Some folks you might know, some folks you didn't, but I was in charge of protecting the NRCC's investment. I believe that cycle we spent around $52 million to try and help elect conservatives to the House of Representatives. After that concluded, that organization, you have to re-interview for your job every cycle because we get a new chairman. And I was catching some phone calls from members of Congress that I had helped, hey, it was all worth it kind of phone calls. And then my current boss, Nicole Maliatakis, gave me a call. She said, hey, I'd like you to be my chief of staff. There's not much you can do about it. So we talked about what we wanted to accomplish together. And ultimately, it led me to being, chief of staff on the Hill. It's a great honor to be here. I have a wonderful staff. I have a wonderful member. And we've been very blessed in our productivity here on behalf of the constituents of New York 11 and hopefully most of the country. So that's a little bit about me, I guess my professional background, at least.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. Given your early involvement in politics, what was it that led you to join SigEp?
So I grew up in a family, with two older brothers, and I was very blessed and lucky to be as close to them as I was growing up. And going to Colorado State wasn't that far from home, but it was far enough to where I really missed, having some guys to look up to and some mentors, and I needed some place to kind of call home base. All throughout high school and even before that, I played competitive hockey. When I went to Colorado State, I decided that I kind of wanted to shift away from that after, a shoulder injury kind of reprioritized my life. And I was really looking for, brotherhood, like getting together with folks, going through shared similar experiences, leadership, networking. It was all really attractive to me. I'm going to give a shout out. I met, I think, one of the best Rush chairmen in my time there, Andy DeBala on the mall. He asked me over for lunch, and I just really clicked with the guys. So ultimately, it was just a sense of belonging that I found there that I guess found pretty easily.
Was it any particular memory that sticks out that helped you in the fraternity?
Yeah, I mean, I went through some, personal loss when I was in the fraternity. I was very close, like I indicated earlier, my family was very close, and unfortunately, I went through all of my grandparents passing away in that period. And I remember very specifically, after my grandfather on my mother's side had passed away, that hit me really hard. And I remember how several brothers kind of banded together, and they ended up actually just taking me out to dinner and relaxing, and giving me something that I could kind of ground myself with in what was a really difficult experience to me. So that was one of the more meaningful experiences. I also remember very well doing the Co-Gamma chant with all the guys in the front yard after a good brotherhood activity, and hearing the voices kind of echo down fraternity row. That made me that always made me super proud. I look back at it every day. And then more recently, I was married last summer on July 29th, and my actual brothers kind of surprised me. They did part of the Co-Gamma chant, and then it was chanted back by several members that attended my wedding, and so that was pretty neat.
That's very cool.
Good time.
Yeah, absolutely. So did SigEp help you prepare for your leadership role? Did you take away soft skills, or how was that portion of SigEp beneficial for you?
Yeah, I mean, SigEp helped me in a couple different ways. I think the main thing is college is good and grand. Hopefully you get a little smarter, a little sharper in terms of how you problem solve and how you go about things. But what SigEp really did for me is it gave me interpersonal skills that I think set a foundation to a great part of my success so far. Learning how to interact with different personality types, different leadership styles, different following styles, is super important. I think it's in going through hiring and things like that, I feel like it's kind of hard to find. And so I think it really set me up there. I will say that, I spent a large portion of my professional career in campaign politics. I want to say that my first campaign was in SigEp. I ran for Rush chairman. I came up short the first time, and then came out ahead the second time. And what that told me is, where you don't first succeed, you got to try again, and you got to learn from your losses, and you got to pick up and go for it. And so I think that, quite honestly, it gave me the foundation that I needed to allow me the confidence to pursue things that I was uncomfortable with. To deal with real problems, and to come out in a way that everybody wins, is kind of my approach. And I learned all of that, not just at SigEp, but a lot of it there.
Yeah, through your time through college, absolutely. So now you've reached a fairly significant achievement in your life. Where do you plan to go from here?
Well, right now, I'm very fulfilled. Fulfillment's really important to me. I put my head down on my pillow every day, and I feel like I've accomplished at least something good. DC is quite a machine, and I'm not going to say that I'm anything more than just a little cog. But it's extremely fulfilling to work with so many young, smart, wonderful people that are all here for their own reasons, but they're good in foundation. So I really like being with my team and being with my boss. In terms of where I see myself in the future, I see myself here for as long as my boss will have me. And it's a huge honor to serve New York 11, and it's a huge honor to serve my boss and to serve with my colleagues. So I see myself staying here for as long as I can. And then who knows what's in the future. I think politics is all about calling, and I'm trying to do my very best to round out the position that I'm in right now, and that keeps me from looking too far ahead. But I'm sure one day, hopefully, back to Colorado. I miss it, and I miss all the people there, and it's nice to see a lot of my friends from SigEp move back or never leave. And I enjoy. It gets harder and harder for me to leave every time I go back. I got to be honest with you.
It's a great state, and politics, though, is definitely a calling.
Yep.
So what advice, looking back, of all you've learned, what advice would you give yourself, your 18-year-old self, or the new members of today in the fraternity?
Well, I think that there's a lot of emphasis. That's a good question. I think that there's a lot of emphasis when you're young that, it's, hey, what college are you going to? Or, hey, what do you want to do? Or, hey, what's your major? And I think I would tell myself, one, don't be so hard on yourself, right? It's like, you gotta experience life as it comes. And, that's when good opportunities come. So, be open to new things. Don't be so hard on yourself. But two, take the shots. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Um, in terms of leadership style and things like that, be okay with failing, and make sure that you learn from it. And one of the earliest pieces of advice that I got was build a mentorship, mentorship circle around yourself. And I think that right there is one of the most important things that you can do. Like Dan, you and I have kept in touch throughout the years, and I've really look up to you. I look up and to so many brothers that I had in college. But professionally, I've been very fortunate that I've been able to accumulate great mentors that have been there before me that can help me kind of miss those potholes, and kind of continue on when times are good and when times are tough. And I think that's super important. But the other thing that I'll say is money is good, money is grand, but fulfillment is king. And, if you don't like what you're doing, then why are you doing it? And, I think that kind of wraps up what I would tell myself for the folks that are in undergrad still, and, trying to figure out where they'll find fulfillment. I alluded to it earlier, take shots. Send alumni emails and see if they want to sit down over a coffee or a Zoom, and make sure that you're working hard in school. Yes, like work as hard as you can and get as good at grades and academics as you possibly can. But don't forget about one of the most important parts about college, which is learning how to conduct yourself, and learning how to network, and learning how to build those relationships that are going to carry you through good times and bad.
Absolutely. Sage advice. Don't wait for the opportunity to come to you. Always go out and seek the opportunity.
100%.
Absolutely.
Take the job, even if you don't know how to do it. Learn it later.
Absolutely. Fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, Alex, I really appreciate the time today.